The Agora? $650,000. Just sit with that for a second. Not as a number, as time. As years of someone's actual life. Waking up before you want to. Going to work when you don't feel like it. Choosing the responsible thing over the easy thing over and over and over for decades. Until one day you look at a statement and it says something that finally feels like safety. That's what Lynette built, and I keep coming back to that. I keep thinking about what it actually takes to get to $650,000 because it doesn't happen fast. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens through a specific kind of quiet discipline that most people never talk about because it's not dramatic. It's just consistent. Year after year after year. Her mother confirmed the number, Darlene Hamlett, publicly, to Ashleigh Banfield on the Drop Dead Serious podcast. More than $650,000 in a retirement account, in Lynette's name. Okay. Now here's the thing I couldn't stop thinking about when I first looked at this. Brian had a retirement account too. He worked at AT&T, same company, for years, long enough that he should have had something saved. But according to someone who was close to Lynette, someone who worked alongside her, someone she trusted enough to call when things got bad, Brian had already gone through his, all of it, gone. And that source didn't say it casually. They said it because Lynette told them directly, in tears. During one of the times she left him, she sat down with this person and said Brian had blown through his 401k. That's a specific kind of conversation. You don't say that to someone unless it's weighing on you. Unless it feels like something you need to say out loud because keeping it inside is too heavy. This is Global Crime Files. Lynette Hooker was 55 years old. She grew up in Michigan. She spent decades working. She built a life that people who knew her described consistently, warmly, specifically, as defined by hard work and loyalty, and a stubborn refusal to give up on the people she loved, even when maybe she should have. She worked at AT&T long enough to accumulate that retirement account, the one her mother remembers with such precision. More than $650,000. She also built the other life, the one on the water, sea turtles and sunsets and cinnamon rolls baked in a solar oven on the deck of a 45-foot ketch called Soulmate. She and Brian had been sailing together for over a decade, documenting everything on social media under the name The Sailing Hookers. Her mother told the Associated Press that Lynette had been around lakes, boats, sailing and swimming her entire life. Her daughter Carly told CBS News she was very fit and strong, a good swimmer. Lynette's last Instagram post was April 4th, 2026. The caption said, "Not going anywhere for a while." Subscribe to Global Crime Files and turn on your notifications before we keep going. We look at documented evidence. We source everything. We don't speculate beyond what confirmed public reporting actually supports. And today we're following something that experienced investigators follow in every case where a spouse goes missing. The money. Okay, so I want to start at the workplace, because I think that's where a lot of this becomes visible in a way that's hard to see otherwise. Lynette and Brian both worked at AT&T. They met there. That detail gets mentioned and then skipped over in most coverage. But I want to stay with it for a minute, because it means the people who knew Lynette at work also knew Brian. They saw both of them, separately and together, over years. And what they told Ashleigh Banfield, reported on April 27th, 2026 from multiple sources, is a picture I want you to hold in your head as we go through everything else. Lynette was genuinely well-liked. Not in the polite, diplomatic, of course I'll say something nice way. Actually liked, warmly remembered. The kind of person who, when she disappeared, prompted a large gathering among employees at that company, 3 days later. Not because it was mandatory, because people cared about her. Brian's reputation was different. He was the union's steward. And look, that's a real role, an important role. The union's steward is supposed to be the person who stands between workers and management and makes sure people are treated fairly. What sources described to Ashleigh Banfield was something that didn't quite match that job description. The picture that came back was of someone whose primary focus wasn't protecting the workers he represented. It was opposing management, making things difficult for management, even when that opposition made things harder for the very people he was supposed to be looking out for. Manipulative was the word that came back. And then there was this one thing, this small, specific thing that I genuinely don't know what to do with. I want to be honest about that. In a room full of co-workers, Brian referred to Lynette as the kid. Not her name, not my wife. The kid. She was approximately 3 years younger than him. Maybe it was affectionate. Maybe it landed differently than he intended. I can't tell you what was in his head. What I can tell you is that it's in the public record because Ashleigh Banfield reported it. And you can decide what it means. Now, the money. Let me be specific about what we know and where it comes from, because I think precision matters here more than anywhere else. Darlene Hamlett, Lynette's mother, confirmed publicly to Ashleigh Banfield that Lynette's 401k contained more than $650,000. That's a primary source. That's the mother confirming a specific number in a public interview. That's as solid as it gets outside of a financial document. The information about Brian's retirement account comes from one source, someone who was close to Lynette at AT&T, one person. I want to say that clearly because it matters. One source is not the same as confirmed public record, and I don't want to present it as more than it is. One source who was present during a private conversation. One source who was there when Lynette said it in tears. And what Lynette said, according to that source, was that Brian had blown through his 401k. Now I want to stop here for a second, because I think there's a temptation, and I feel it too, to turn this into something simple, to say the financial gap explains everything, to connect the dots in a clean, straight line from money to motive to conclusion. I'm not doing that. I'm not saying this proves anything. I'm saying it's a documented piece of the investigative landscape of a case where a woman is still missing. And experienced investigators, the people who do this for a living, who have worked cases like this before, they don't ignore financial pictures. They examine them carefully, without jumping to conclusions, but also without looking away. Ashleigh Banfield said it directly on April 27th. I always follow the money, not as the end-all be-all, but as another piece of the puzzle. So let's keep following it. A 401k in the United States belongs to the person whose name is on it. But 401k accounts have something called a beneficiary designation. It's a named person or persons who inherits the account if the account holder dies. In most marriages, spouses name each other. It's the default. Most financial advisors recommend it. Most people do it without much thought when they set up the account years ago. The beneficiary designation on Lynette Hooker's retirement account is not public information. What is public information, what is confirmed, is that the account exists, that it contains more than $650,000, and that in the event of Lynette's confirmed death, that money goes somewhere, to someone, based on a form that was filled out sometime in the past, and that the investigation has the legal authority to access. Whether investigators have already examined that form, that has not been confirmed publicly. What has been confirmed is the financial gap, $650,000 in her account. nothing left in his. And approximately 4 years of living on a boat with no property, no fixed income, no retirement savings of his own. 2 people on the Soulmate. One of them with a future she'd built carefully over decades. One of them with nothing left to fall back on. Brian Hooker has not been charged with any crime. His attorney, Terrell Butler, stated that Brian Hooker categorically and unequivocally denies all wrongdoing. His Michigan-based attorney, Crystal Marie Hauser, told ABC News that Brian Hooker never would have harmed his wife of 25 years. Brian said publicly that he never harmed Lynette and never would harm Lynette. He remains a named suspect who has not been cleared and can be rearrested, confirmed by the Royal Bahamas Police Force Commissioner to NBC News. Now I want to zoom out, because the financial picture doesn't stand alone. It sits inside a larger documented record that has been building for 30 days. And I think it's worth walking through that record, even briefly, because context is everything here. Brian told investigators Lynette went overboard from an 8-foot dinghy in the dark near Elbow Cay. Strong currents. He couldn't reach her. He drifted for hours. Multiple witnesses on Elbow Cay, more than 3 people, together, seeing the same thing at the same time, saw a flare at approximately 8 p.m. Not from a dinghy drifting in the water, from the sailboat, the 45-foot ketch that Brian told investigators he and Lynette never made it back to. Confirmed by Ashleigh Banfield through direct reporting on the ground. A security camera on a private home on Lubber's Quarters, facing east across the Sea of Abaco, recording continuously, belonging to a man named Dean Zamzil, who just wanted to check his view remotely, captured light events at the estimated location of the Soulmate at 7:47 p.m. on April 4th. Then at 12:27 a.m. on April 5th. Then at 12:32 a.m. At all 3 of those times, Brian was supposed to be somewhere else entirely. Nobody was supposed to be on that boat. The AIS tracking system on the Soulmate, the system that broadcasts the vessel's location to maritime tracking services, went offline at 9:30 p.m. on the night of April 4th. Blaine Stevenson reviewed the vessel's prior month of tracking logs and confirmed this to Ashleigh Banfield on April 27th. In those prior logs, the system had never been offline for more than 2 to 2.5 hours. On the night of April 4th, it was offline from 9:30 p.m. until 8:30 a.m. the following morning. 8:30 a.m. That is approximately the moment Brian Hooker stepped back aboard the Soulmate with a Royal Bahamas Police Force officer. Brian was released from AT&T 3 times. The final termination, confirmed by sources and court documents reported by Ashleigh Banfield, was for jury-rigging the GPS on his company van to mask his location. A man who understood exactly how to falsify location data, living on a vessel with a tracking system, whose vessel's tracking system went dark on the night his wife disappeared. The drone. The Soulmate had a drone on board. Brian wired the solar system himself. He networked the boat. He was, by every account from people who knew him, technically sophisticated. When he was aboard the rescue vessel the morning after, with Jim Todd and the Hopetown Volunteer Fire and Rescue Team searching the waters near Elbow Cay, he never mentioned the drone, never offered to go back to the Soulmate and get it, never suggested they fly it over the shallow, clear water where Lynette allegedly went overboard. Blaine Stevenson, speaking directly to Ashleigh Banfield on April 27th, said there is not one thing Brian did after the incident that he himself would have done if his wife were missing. Not a single thing. And the voicemail. 3 days after Lynette disappeared, Brian left his stepdaughter, Carly, a voicemail. Not a phone call, a voicemail. Carly shared it publicly with News Nation. It was about a flotation device. That Hopetown search and rescue had found the flotation device he had thrown into the water. Not about Lynette, not about the search, about the flotation device and the recording. Brian called Blaine Stevenson 3 days after Lynette disappeared, 1 day before his arrest. He did not know the call was being recorded. CBS News obtained the recording and verified it. In 40 minutes of unguarded conversation with someone he trusted, speaking freely, not for investigators, not through an attorney, he described the moment Lynette entered the water with one specific word: bounced. She basically just bounced off the dinghy. Not fell, not slipped, not went over, bounced. Now hold all of that together and then add the financial picture. A man with no retirement savings, a wife with more than $650,000 in hers, a tracking system that went dark on the night she disappeared, a drone that was never deployed, a flare that multiple witnesses say came from the boat he said he never reached, an AIS that came back online the moment he stepped aboard, a voicemail to a grieving daughter about a flotation device, 40 minutes of unguarded conversation in which he described his wife entering the water with the word bounced, and $650,000 sitting in an account, in her name, going somewhere, to someone, based on a beneficiary designation that the investigation has the authority to examine. I'm not telling you this proves anything, but I'm also not going to pretend it doesn't raise questions, real ones, the kind that experienced investigators take seriously, the kind that Ashleigh Banfield takes seriously, the kind that Darlene Hamlett takes seriously, as she waits in Florida for a phone call that has not come. Darlene told Ashleigh Banfield, "I just want nothing more than I love you and wish you would have come home." Carly flew to the Bahamas. She walked the shorelines. She stood where Brian told investigators her mother went overboard. She looked at the water and said her mother could have swum 2 feet to shore. She flew home wearing the L necklace, the one with the small charm that Lynette always wore. She told Wood TV that the story sounds more sketchy to her now than before she went. Lynette Hooker spent decades building something, the retirement account, the $650,000, the future she was holding on to while everything else was complicated, while she left and came back, while the life on the boat was beautiful in the photographs and harder in the moments the camera didn't catch, while she told her friend in January 2026 about the threat, while she kept going, and she kept that account, $650,000. The investigation knows where it is. The investigation knows who the beneficiary is. Lynette deserves the answer. The investigation continues. If you have any information about the disappearance of Lynette Hooker, contact the Royal Bahamas Police Force or the United States Coast Guard. Both investigations remain active. Anonymous tips can be submitted through the CGIS Tips app on any phone. Brian Hooker has not been charged with any crime. His attorneys state he categorically and unequivocally denies any wrongdoing. All individuals referenced are presumed innocent unless formally charged and convicted in a court of law. This is Global Crime Files. Every victim deserves the truth. Every story deserves to be told.